ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सरस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Welcome everyone, Hare Krishna. We continue our study of the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 5, entitled Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu, and we are discussing text 5. 755. Sri Prahlada Uvacha तत्साधु मन्ये सुरवर्यदेहिनां सदा समुद्विग्नधियामसद्ग्रहात् हित्वात्मपातं गृहमन्धकूपं वनं गतो यत् हरिमाश्रयेत. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Prahlad Maharaj replied, O best of the Asuras, king of the demons, as far as I have learned from my spiritual master, any person who has accepted a temporary body and temporary household life is certainly embarrassed by anxiety because of having fallen in a dark well where there is no water but only suffering. One should give up this position and go to the forest. 1. More clearly, one should go to Vrindavan, where only Krishna consciousness is prevalent, and should thus take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I want to read the last paragraph of the purport also. Otherwise, if one remains in the bodily conception, one must rot within this material world and his life will be a failure. Society must have divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and for spiritual advancement, one must gradually develop as a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi. Prahlad Maharaj recommended that his father accept Vanaprastha life because as a Grihastha he was becoming increasingly demoniac due to bodily attachment. Prahlad recommended to his father that accepting Vanaprastha life would be better than going deeper and deeper into Griham Andhakupam, the blind well of life as a Grihastha. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore invite all the elderly persons of the world to come to Vrindavan and stay there in retired life, making advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So, Prahlad Maharaj tells Hiranyakashipu that the cause of all problems is being stuck in material sense gratification in this world. That is the cause of all problems. Forgetfulness of God and trying to fulfill material desires. Nature of material desires, they are unlimited. They go on and on and on. Just like when we sit to chant japa, wherever the mind goes, there is some inclination. There is some inclination. There is some samskar. There is some attraction. That's why the mind goes there. When we sit to chant japa, we are chanting the holy name and trying to hear the sound vibration. But the mind may go to some friend, the mind may go to some place, the mind may go to some random dream, the mind may go to some fictitious castle that we are building for the future in the mind. Some story, one topic after another, after another. It goes on and on. And on what basis does this happen? It goes on the basis of the material desires that we have in the heart. For someone who is not interested in eating meat, while chanting Hare Krishna, his mind will not go to meat eating because there is no inclination, right? There'll never be a time when you sit to chant Hare Krishna and the person feels that, oh, I'm missing meat or thinks about some flesh of some animal. Never, because there is no inclination. So naturally, the mind doesn't go there. But however, the mind will go to places where there is some past samskar or there is some inclination, there is some attraction. Distraction from the holy name means alternatively attracted to something else. And the nature of all this is when you get it, we temporarily feel little joyful, but then it increases more and more desires. The greed to have it increases. When we don't get it, we become angry. When we get it, we become greedy. When we get it and others don't get it, we become proud. And when others get it and we don't get it, we become envious. And if we get it and they get it, we become insecure. How is it that both of us are getting it? So even after getting what we want, we still are miserable. This is the nature of material life. And to add more trouble, there are unlimited desires in the heart. They just keep coming, just like when there's a water leak in a pipe. You see, water keeps coming out like a fountain, and so much water gets wasted. But when someone can seal it up and tie it up and somehow make sure that the pipe is taken care, you'll see that water exists, but it's properly channelized. It's properly used. It's not wasted. So when bhakti is performed, that bhakti is like the thing that seals it. Vikarma yachot patitam kathanchit dhunoti sarvam ridhisannivishtaha. Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto describes that when we take shelter of Sri Hari, when we take shelter of Sri Krishna, any holes in the heart, in the consciousness through which we make mistakes and material desires keep sprouting, they all are sealed. Dhunoti sarvam ridhisannivishtaha. Krishna sitting in the heart. Yatpada pankaja palasha vilasa bhaktya. Krishna with his lotus feet, he places his lotus feet on all of these broken pipe like desires or heart consciousness from where so many water fountain like material desires are springing. So by taking shelter of him, he seals it up completely. And all those desires, just like the water in the pipe is properly channelized, all those desires get properly channelized. Srila Prabhupada teaches us our process is not to become desireless, but our process is to use our desires in Krishna's service. This is the perfection. This is the perfection. So we should try to take shelter of Krishna, and this is what Prahlad Maharaj is proposing here. He says, Hitvatma patam griham andhakupam vanam gatoyat harim ashrayeta. He says, go to the forest. So for Hiranyakashipu, that means you are sitting in a grihastha household as a king, as a royal king, as a kshatriya, and you're just misusing power, misusing money. In fact, the word Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyam means gold and Kashipu means bed. So he is the embodiment of greed and lust, both. But Hiranyakashipu can also mean he who sleeps on a bed full of gold. There's so much money that his bed is full of money. Hiranyam. On his Kashipu, on his bed, there is just gold and gold and gold all through. So many material desires. Hiranyakashipu would order and Hiranyaksha would go and uh, execute. This is how it used to be. So Hiranyaksha, Aksha means to see, to keep an eye, to keep a watch, and Hiranyam means wealth. So wherever there is prospect wealth, wherever there is a possibility of enjoyment, Hiranyaksha would keep his eye on there. And Hiranyakashipu was the one who was counting. So Hiranyaksha would go and plunder where there's an opportunity, and he'll give it to his brother, and his brother was busy counting. So Hiranyaksha means he who's greedy, and Hiranyakashipu means he who's lusty. He who's enjoying that wealth is Hiranyakashipu. He who's chasing that wealth is Hiranyaksha. And in Kali Yuga, the good news is both Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, with all their potencies, live in us. Haribo. So therefore, we need Narsingadev to enter our heart through Srimad Bhagavatam to protect us. Our bhakti is like a 5-year-old child, Prahlad Maharaj, a little one. And the anarthas are like demons within, roaring. And in times when both those emotions meet, the Prahlad in us should have the power to tell the Hiranyakashipu in us what to do. Invariably, what happens? When we are confused, our heart tells us, yes, I need to chant. But the mind will tell us, but it's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can chant even at 7 o'clock. Now, why not watch a movie or talk to your friend, etc.? So it is Hiranyakashipu thought overpowering the Prahlad thought. The Prahlad thought in us says, wake up early. The Hiranyakashipu thought will say, what is the need? That same early morning chanting, I can do late night chanting, doesn't matter. Instead of sleeping at 10 o'clock and waking up at 4, I could sleep at 12 o'clock and wake up at 6. What's the loss? It's still 6 hours. So the Prahlad in us is the bhakti, the thought. And the Hiranyakashipu in us is the sense enjoyment. And you will see the confusion is always because the Hiranyakashipu takes over the Prahlad thought. But here in this verse, Hiranyakashipu is taking the secondary position and Prahlad is instructing him. So this is how we should. Dushtaman tumi kishera Vaishnav. When Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is chastising all of us, of course, through his song, it is like telling the mind, the heart is telling the mind, Tumi kishera Vaishnav. Dushtaman tumi kishera Vaishnav. What kind of Vaishnav are you? So it is always the battle between the mind and the heart. The heart wants bhakti. The mind wants enjoyment. The heart is Prahlad. The mind is Hiranyakashipu. And when they meet, invariably the mind overpowers the heart and we end up succumbing to things that we know are not good, but we are helpless. But in this verse, you see, when they meet, it is the heart, Prahlad, who is instructing the mind. So this is how it should be. Whenever we are in a tempting situation, alluring situation, it is the heart which has to instruct the mind, not the other way. Namacharya Haridas Thakur's example. Lakshahira, the prostitute, came in and she tried her best to allure Namacharya Haridas Thakur. But Sri Namacharya Haridas Thakur, look how amazing. He was saying, oh, sure, I will fulfill all your desires. Let me just finish my chanting and then I will fulfill your desires. And for 3 days and 3 nights, she was sitting next to a tulsi plant and hearing Namacharya Haridas Thakur's chanting because his chanting would never get over. As soon as his chanting would get over, he would say, oh, the new day has started and I haven't even started my chanting for today. So in this way, he would go on Kirtaniya Sadahari, and in no time, the heart, Namacharya Haridas Thakur, was able to win over the mind, which is the prostitute. On the other hand, we find the example of Sri Bilvamangal Thakur. There you see Chintamani, the prostitute, she took the upper hand and Sri Bilvamangal Thakur went to her. Sri Bilvamangal Thakur, a very great soul, but unfortunately was attracted to a prostitute called Chintamani. And he, in fact, even crossed over a river, taking support of a dead body. He crossed a river to find her, and then her door was closed. So then to get in through the roof, he climbed up with a rope, which he thought was a rope, but was actually a snake. And then he climbed on top of the roof and from the roof jumped in. And it's described, Chintamani Devi looked at Bilvamangal Thakur and said, if you just had this intensity for Krishna, you would have attained him by now. What is there in this body? Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes a tika, a commentary to that verse, that section. And he explains that Chintamani, the prostitute, told Sri Bilvamangal Thakur, this body of mine, now it's young, but very soon it'll become old. You're wasting your youth for this body when this body will leave you, which means it's going to get old and diseased. And trust me, O Bilvamangal Thakur, I am giving up this profession tomorrow morning, she said. I am going to distribute all my wealth and I am going to do bhajan of Krishna. I won't come back. So therefore, I'm telling you, this attachment you develop for Sri Krishna, don't develop for this body. Sri Bilvamangal Thakur was woken up to reality. Chintamani, it is described in the writings of Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He writes that Chintamani spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Bilvamangal Thakur all night. Haribol. She spoke Srimad Bhagavatam all night. She spoke Krishna's pastimes all night to Bilvamangal Thakur. And when it was sunrise early in the morning, Sri Bilvamangal Thakur left with disgust. How could I have gotten attracted to a prostitute? And then it is described, he came out of the house, swam across the ocean with the river with the same dead body, and went to the other side, but this time on his way to Somagiri, who was his Diksha Guru. So Sri Bilvamangal Thakur received inspiration from the prostitute whom he got attracted to, and she directed him towards Krishna. And now he took shelter of a Diksha Guru called Somagiri, who initiated him in the mantras, Vaishnav mantras. And it is described Sri Bilvamangal Thakur lived in that ashram of Somagiri, his guru, for a few days, served him, received his blessings, took sannyas there, and then went to Sri Vrindavan Dham. So you can see, in our case, it doesn't happen. Our mind is a Vaishya, our mind is a prostitute, and our heart is like the Haridas Thakur or the Bilvamangal Thakur. Of course, it's not that advanced, but what I'm trying to say is the fight between divinity and demoniac thoughts. For Namacharya Haridas Thakur, the prostitute came to him and still he was not allured. For Sri Bilvamangal Thakur, he went to the prostitute, but the prostitute turned out to be his Vartma Pradarshak Guru, she who pointed the direction. Therefore, Sri Bilvamangal Thakur writes, Chintamani Jayati Soma Girir Gurur me Shiksha Guruscha Bhagavan Shiki Pichamauli Yadpada Kalpataru Pallava Shekhareshu Leela Swayam Vararasam Labhate Jayashri. This verse has been quoted in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita also. So the point is, our mind is like the Hiranyakashipu and our heart is like the Prahlad. And in times of conflict, we can't expect our mind to give us sane advice like how the prostitute gave to Bilvamangal Thakur. Invariably, our mind, like Laksha Hira prostitute, is going to take us away, at least try to take us away while we're chanting Hare Krishna, just like she tried to Namacharya Haridas Thakur. But at that time, we should tell our mind, Hitvatma patam grihamandhakupam vanam gato yat harimashrayeta. Give up your thoughts of enjoyment, O wicked mind. Bhajore bhai, mano ati mando, gaur gadadhara dvaita prabhu nityananda. O dear mind, give up your wickedness, give up your crookedness, give up your duplicity, give up your snake-like mentality and worship Sri Krishna. What is the difficulty? Alasyam vyapaniya bhakti sulabham dhyayasva narayanam. Bhakti sulabham, bhakti is very dear, bhakti is very simple, bhakti is very easy. What is the problem? Krishna is there giving his hand to help us. Therefore, go to the forest. Which forest? Vrindavan forest. Which means remember Krishna, hear about him, chant about him, and Harimashrayeta, take shelter of him. Very important. This is very important. Samsara dukkha jaladau patitasya kama krodadi nakra makarai kavari kritasya durvasana nigaditasya nirashayasya chaitanya chandramama dehi padavalampam. Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati, in his epic Chaitanya Chandramritam, he writes that, O Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is a beautiful verse. He says, O Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, samsara dukkha jaladau patitasya kama. I have fallen into an ocean of suffering. And the bad news is, I don't know to swim. Imagine being tossed into an ocean where we go down into the water where we don't know to swim. What level of panic will that be? What level of panic would that be? Because we know for sure we are going to drown. So Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati says, Samsara dukkha jaladau patitasya kama. My dear Lord, I have fallen head down into this ocean of suffering and I don't know how to swim. And krodadi nakra makarai kavari kritasya. And as soon as I have fallen into this ocean, there are crocodiles and whales and sharks coming from all directions to eat me up. They are hungry. And as soon as I've fallen into the ocean, bad news, I don't know to swim. Even bad news, the aquatics are chasing me. What are these aquatics? Krodadi nakra makarai kavari kritasya. Anger, lust, envy, pride, greed, they're all like sharks and crocodiles coming to chew parts out of our body. Lust and envy and pride and ego and greed and lust, they sap our energy. They sap our energy because when you're angry at someone, it's wasting your time. Your body gets polluted. You have to spit venom at someone. And it's wasting their time, wasting our time, contaminating all of our consciousness. And only ending in guilt and more contaminated consciousness. What is the gain? What is the gain? Anger is like someone who's holding a hot ball of fire with the desire to throw it. Even before they throw it, their hands are burnt because they're holding fire. So anger and envy and pride, they're like crocodiles. We have fallen into this ocean of suffering, Prabodhananda Saraswati says. And the aquatics of anger, lust, and envy are coming to chew me, my Lord. Now, even worst, even worst news. Durvasana nigaditasya nirashayasya. Imagine if hands and legs are free, at least somebody could make some attempt to splash water and get somebody's attention. Do something, right? When we're tossed into water and crocodiles are coming, we don't know to swim. At least you can splash the water and hands and legs can move. But Prabodhananda Saraswati says, Durvasana nigaditasya nirashayasya. My dear Lord, my hands and legs are tied with chains. What chains? Past life samskars, bad habits of the past. So we are suffering, then we have anarthas, and then we have impressions from past life. What does that mean? Imagine if someone has never done drugs. You keep drugs in front of them, they're not attracted. But if someone has done drugs in the past, you keep drugs in front of them, they will immediately start getting attracted or do whatever it takes. Somebody who has even stronger samskars, they will not wait for the drugs or the alcohol or cigarette packet to come to their table. They will go searching for it. They will search for where drugs is available. They'll search for where cigarettes are available. They'll go where alcohol is available. For someone who has no samskars, they will not go search. Even if you keep it in front of them, they don't. But for someone who has very deep samskars from past life, they get attracted when it's there on the table. Those who have even deeper samskars, they will go searching for it. And those who have the deepest samskars, they can't live without it. They're addicted to all of these things. So this past life samskar is what is held. Prabodhananda Saraswati says, they are the iron chains which are binding my hands and feet. My dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Chandra Mama Dehi Padavalambam. Oh, rescue operator, oh lifeguard, Sri Gauranga, I have fallen into this ocean of problems. Crocodiles of anarthas are coming and chewing me. Past life samskars are the iron chains which have bound my hands and feet. I am nirashraya. I am shelterless. Please help me. Please help me. Please help me. So sometimes you can see this material world is compared to an ocean, and sometimes it is compared to a tree. Sri Adi Shankaracharya, Bhagavad Pad, he writes in one verse, Samsara vriksham agabijam ananta karma, Shakhayutam karana patra mananga pushpam, Aruhya dukkha phalinam patitam dayalu, Lakshmi nrsimha mama dehi karavalambam. So Sri Adi Shankaracharya Bhagavad Pad personally worshipped a Nrsimha deity. I have had fortune of seeing that deity, but that Sri Shankaracharya personally, Adi Shankaracharya personally worshipped. It's still there in South India. So to that deity of Nrsingadev, Sri Adi Shankaracharya wrote a Lakshmi Nrsimha Karavalamba Stotram. Karavalamba Stotram means stuti, glories, and Karavalamba means please hold my hand and help me. Koi yadi patit ho, if somebody is fallen, if somebody gives their hand, it can be pulled. So Sri Shankaracharya Bhagavad Pad says, my dear Lord, O Narasimhadev, samsara vriksham agabijam ananta karma. There is a tree called material existence, material world. So in the previous example of Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati, material world was compared to an ocean. But here material world is compared to a tree. And look at the metaphor, the comparative simile. Shankaracharya Bhagavad Pad writes, Samsara vriksham agabijam ananta karma. The tree in this example is this material world. And the seed to this tree is agha, sin, turning away from God. Forgetting Krishna is the seed which causes the tree of this material world. And samsara vriksham agabijam ananta karma shakayutam. Reactions, counter reactions, past life actions, vikarma, akarma, so many sakarma, nishkama karma, so many different complications. In which life, in which circumstance, what happened and what we responded, it's all like a confused, it's like a telephone line. Have you seen? Sometimes there are telephone lines which are completely messed up. They go from one tower to another and they're messed up completely. 1,000,000 times more messed up is our karma from past life. Anadi karma phale. Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, from time immemorial, we have karma. So they are the unlimited branches in this tree. So the tree is this material world, and the seed to this tree is our sin of turning away from Bhagavan or forgetting. Bhagavad Vismriti. The unlimited leaves are reactions, our activities. Karana patram ananga pushpam. And what are the flowers in this tree? The very colorful, fragrant, big, very attractive flowers. Attraction to the opposite sex. This is the flower. Wow, what kind of metaphor is this? And then Sri Bhagavad Pad writes, there is one fruit on the top. On the topmost branch, there is one fruit. Big, juicy, ripe fruit. And to get this fruit, everybody climbs this tree. What is that fruit called? Joy, happiness. We are searching for that one little fruit of happiness on the tree of this material world, which has unlimited branches like reactions and the seed of forgetting Krishna. Now, when someone climbs this tree, and aruya dukkha phalinam patitam dayalum, and tries to eat this fruit, what happens? This fruit has two characteristics. It will convince you that it is joy. So everyone chases it. And when you take the first bite, there is nothing as bitter as this ever. And second, first, it is the joyful fruit which tastes bitter. And the more you taste it, the more you will be convinced that there is joy here. What kind of fruit is this? It appears beautiful. Everyone chases it. When you eat it, it gives you suffering. But then still it convinces you that maybe this side of the fruit is bitter, but this side of the fruit is very sweet. And in this way, Sri Shankaracharya Bhagavad Pad writes, I have ended up eating so many fruits in this tree, my dear Lord. Now, patitam, I am falling from this tree, shelterless. Oh, Narasimhadev, please protect me. This is the nature of this world. No Acharya in no bona fide sampradaya has glorified this world. Oh, this is a beautiful place. Let's just live here happily, forget Bhagavan and enjoy our senses. No Shastra, no Acharya will teach this. They will all say, this is a temporary place. Don't stay here. Don't settle here. Go back home, back to Godhead. Well, now let's hear Sri Rupa Goswami. Sri Rupa Goswami Pad writes, Manasija phani jushthe, labdha patosmi dushte, तिमिरगहन रूपे हंत संसार कूपे अजित निखिल रक्षाम हेतुमुद्धार दक्षाम उपनय मम हस्ते भक्तिरज्जुम नमस्ते. Sri Rupa Goswami Pad, he says, he compares this material world now, after Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati compared it to an ocean, and Sri Bhagavad Pad, Sri Shankaracharya compared it to a tree. Sri Rupa Goswami, same example as Prahlad Maharaj, Griham Andha Kupam. So all of this that we are discussing are elaborations on that one line, Hitvatma Patam Griham Andha Kupam. Prahlad Maharaj sees this world as a dry well. He sees this as a well where there's soft grass on the surface. Imagine if there's a well that's covered with soft grass on the top. Somebody may think, oh, this is a wonderful place to sit. And as soon as we sit, we will fall down. And when we fall, it's a deep, dark well with not one drop of water. So Sri Rupa Goswami Pad writes, Manasija phani jushte labdha patosmi dushte. Oh dear Krishna, I have fallen into this material world which is like a well. Timira gahana rupe hanta sansara kupe. Samsar koop. The well of this world is timira and gahana. It is dark and deep. Why is it dark? Avidya, kama karma bhi. There is ignorance. And it's deep. Why? Because to get out of this world is very difficult. To get out of this well is very difficult. Imagine if someone's fallen into a deep, dark, dry well. It's dry. So the person can drink water. It's dark. The person will not know how to come out, and it's very deep. So even if he knows, he doesn't have the ability. He can see things as they are. And in a deep, dark, dry well, there may also be snakes inside. So it's very dangerous. Sri Rupa Goswami Pad says, the world that I have fallen into is a well which is dark in avidya. Nobody has the sense of what has to be done and what should not be done. And there is not one drop of water, which means not one drop of joy. And it is deep, which means we don't know how to get out. And to add more trouble, there are snakes inside. Snakes. What kind of snakes? Manasija phanijushte, the snake of lusty desires. Comes back to the same thing. What Prabodhananda Saraswati called as a crocodile, what Sri Adi Shankaracharya called as the flowers on the tree, Sri Rupa Goswami calls as the venomous cobra snakes in the well of this world. Now, Sri Rupa Goswami Pad prays, Ajita Nikhila Raksham Hetum Uddhara Daksham. Oh dear Krishna, I am praying to you because you're outside this well. Krishna has not fallen in the well, he's outside the well. Namasya Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param. He is beyond this world. Prakrite Param. Maya Dhyakshrena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. So he's outside the well. Rupa Goswami Pad says, and you are expert. What are you expert in? You are outside the well and you have expertise in pulling those who are in the well outside the well. And you do it so quickly. Like Gajendra says, Madrik Prapanna Pashupasha Vimokshanaya Muktaya Bhuri Karunaya Namo Alayaya. Krishna has three characteristics. He is outside this problem, so he can help us. Second, he has a lot of love, so he wants to help us. And third, he's not at all lazy. He's very quick to act. So Krishna is outside the well. He wants to help and he doesn't delay. So best person. So how does he help? Upanaya mama haste bhakti rajum namaste. Rupa Goswami says, I bow down to you, O Krishna. Please, if you can throw in a rope of bhakti, I will hold on to it and you pull me out as I hold the rope. So how poetic is this and how devotionally, philosophically deep is this? We are fallen into the well of this world where there are snakes of lusty desires, where there's darkness of avidya, where there's depth of difficulty to get out, and there's not one drop of joy. And amidst all this, oh Krishna, if you can drop in the rope of devotion, I promise I will hold on to it very tightly, which means I will perform bhakti. But even if I perform bhakti, here's the thing. In the Damodar Leela, 2 fingers shot. What were the 2 fingers? Our endeavor and Krishna's mercy. So we holding on to the rope is our sadhana. But ultimately, Krishna has to pull from outside. That is his kripa. That's his mercy. So Rupa Goswami says, I bow down to you, O Krishna, please help me. I will hold on to bhakti, hearing, chanting, remembering. And if you're pleased, may you pull me out. So here, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, oh dear father, griham andhakupam, you are fallen into that well. Whether in the first example, you're fallen into the ocean. Second example, you're fallen into, or you're fallen from the tree, falling from the tree. And third, you're fallen into the well. Therefore, Harimashrayeta, take shelter of Krishna. He alone can help us. His name can help us. His form can help us. His pastimes can help us. There's another nice verse in the Bhagavatam. Samsara sindhu mati dustara mutti tirsho. Nanya plava bhagavata purushottamasya lila kathara sanisevanam antarena pumsam bhaved vivida dukkha davarditasya. Jai ho, jai ho. So nice. 12th canto Bhagavatam describes. What does it describe? Samsara sindhum atidustaram uttitirsho. Back to the ocean example. Bhagavatam says this material world is an ocean of problems. And if somebody wants to cross, then there is only one boat that they can get onto. Get onto one boat and the boat will take you across. What is that boat? Leela, Katha, Rasanisevanam, the pastimes of Sri Hari. If you take shelter of the pastimes of Sri Hari, which is the boat? Plava. Plava means boat. Na anya plava bhagavata purushottamasya leela katha rasani sevanam. There is no other boat apart from the beautiful pastimes of Sri Krishna. So therefore, if we hear Krishna Katha, Narasimha Katha, Ram Katha, Bhagavat Katha, we hear the pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam systematically. Hear the pastimes of Dhruva, hear the pastimes of Jad Bharat, hear the pastimes of Ajamil, hear the pastimes of Gajendra, hear the pastimes of Chitraketu, hear the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj and Ambarish Maharaj and Yudhishthir Maharaj. Who is that person who can cross over? Leela katharasani sevana antarena pumsam bhavet vivida dukkha davarditasya. If somebody doesn't take shelter of this boat, they will be tossed and hit by the waves of problems, one problem after another. Trishna toye madana pavano dhutamo hormimale. Kulashekar Alvar in Mukundamala Stotra says, this material world has unlimited problem like waves. If this world is an ocean, then the problems are coming in, crashing in like high tides constantly. And there is only one boat we can take shelter of. Krishna, 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 Hey, the name of Krishna. Krishna, 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 Nama Kirtanam, Prema Dhama Devameva Naumi Gaura Sundaram. Taking shelter of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, taking shelter of Sri Krishna, taking shelter of Nam, Rupa, Guna, Leela, the deity worship, Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting the holy name, and Vaishnavas. Samsara katu vrikshasya dve phale amrutopame. On this tree of this material world, there are only actual two fruits, proper fruits. There are only two fruits that are available in this world. If this world is actually a tree, there are only two good fruits. What is that? Bhagavata rasaswadanam. The tasting of the rasa of Bhagavatam. Bhagavata rasaswada tajjana prema sangati. One is studying Srimad Bhagavatam, and second is associating with those who are dear to Bhagavatam and getting their mercy. These are the only two good fruits in this world. The names of Krishna, the Leelas of Krishna, that is Bhagavatam. Samsara katu vrikshasya dve phale amrutopame Bhagavata rasaswada tajjana prema sangati. Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Katha, chanting, hearing, reading, that is one nice fruit, and associating with those who are very dear to Krishna. And if they have affection for us, oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. These are the only two good fruits. So, therefore, Sri Prahlad Maharaj is very lovingly advising his father, Hitvatma patam grihamandha kupam. Dear father, give up this material world, give up your ego, give up your pride, and go to Vrindavan. And vanam gato yad hari mashrayeta. Take shelter of Sri Hari. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Harer nama, Harer nama, Harer nama eva kevalam. Kalo nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyatha. In Kali Yuga, apart from Harinam, Sri Harinam Prabhu, we have no other shelter. So therefore, Nirantara Krishna Nam. Nirantara Namlo Karatulasi Sevan Achirata Pabitumi Krishnera Charan. When the prostitute asked Haridas Thakur Mahashai, please give me a quick solution how I can become purified. Sri Namacharya Haridas Thakur said, continuously chant Hari's name and serve a Tulsi plant. If you serve Tulsi and if you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna will shower mercy on you, he said. So therefore, this is important. Studying Bhagavatam, worshipping Tulsi, chanting the holy name, serving Vaishnavas, taking shelter of this process systematically, daily, consistently, without wasting time. Then, no problem. We don't have to worry. Samashritaye padapallavaplavam mahat padam punyayasho murare bhavam budhi vatsa param padam 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 yat vipadam natesham. Bhagavatam, Brahmastuti, Canto 10, Chapter 14. It is described that although this material world is an ocean, no problem. If you take shelter of Krishna, the ocean becomes a pond. And instead of swimming over, you can walk, you can run across this pond with eyes blindfold, and you'll still reach the opposite end because you have Krishna on your side. So this is the essence. So we spent considerable amount of time on this verse because this is quite an important verse for all of us. Taking shelter of Krishna, very important. So text 6. Sri Narada Uvacha Shrutva Putra Giro Daitya Parapaksha Samahita Jahaza Buddhir Balanam Vidyate Parabuddhibhi. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Narad Muni continued, when Prahlad Maharaj spoke about the path of self-realization and devotional service, thus being faithful to the camp of his father's enemies, Hiranyakashipu, the king of demons, heard Prahlad's words and he laughingly said, thus is the intelligence of children spoiled by the words of the enemy. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Hiranyakashipu, being a demon, would always consider Lord Vishnu and his devotees to be his enemies. Therefore, the word parapaksha on the side of the enemy is used here. Hiranyakashipu never agreed with the words of Vishnu or Krishna. Rather, he was angered by the intelligence of of a Vaishnav. Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna says, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all other duties and surrender unto me. But demons like Hiranyakashipu never agree to this. Therefore, Krishna says, Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradhama mayaya aparita jnana asuram bhavam ashrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. The Asura Bhava, the atheistic nature, is directly represented by Hiranyakashipu. Such persons being Mudha and Naradhama, fools and rascals, the lowest of men, would never accept Vishnu as the supreme and surrender unto him. Hiranyakashipu naturally became increasingly angry that his son Prahlad was being influenced by the camp of the enemies. He therefore asked that saintly persons like Narada Muni not be allowed within the residential quarters of his son, for otherwise Prahlad would be further spoiled by Vaishnava instructions. Those in the opposite camp, the enemy camp, they have opposite ideas, crazy ideas. They feel their camp, the enemy camp, the Asura camp, is the actual one, and Vaishnavas are sentimentalists, we are fools, we are crazy. And just like we don't want to associate with them, they don't want to associate with us. Two classes of men. Divine and demoniac natures, chapter 16, Bhagavad Gita. So here, Hiranyakashipu, on hearing these words of Prahlad Maharaj, he felt, oh, Prahlad has been taking some bad association, some asat sangha. So asat sangha tyag, e daitya achar. Give up all this asat sangha. Oh, Prahlad, give up asat, bad association of the Vaishnavas. This is the nature of fools. Murkhasya panchachinnhani, garvo durvachanam tatha, krodascha dridavadascha paravakyeshu anadara. And upadesho hi murkhanam prakopayana shantaye, payappanam bhujanganam kevalam vishavardhanam. A fool can be recognized by 6 characteristics. These 6 characteristics, they are the identity of a fool. What are the characteristics of a fool? Garva, extreme pride. Second, durvachanam. They will speak bad language, foul language, swear words. They will not articulate properly. When someone in this world, their characteristics is seen, you can very easily predict where they came from, past life. If somebody is always very angry, very agitated, competitive, very easily you will know that this person has been practicing Rajogun for quite some time in his past lives. If someone, on the other hand, doesn't know how to speak, ends up saying anything anywhere, speaks bad language, swear language, you know these people have come from hell. Because in hell, they're so used to hearing bad language, foul language. Even when they become human beings on earth, that same samskar comes out of their mouth. There are children right from childhood sometimes. They start speaking lies, they will manipulate, they will cheat, they will speak bad, foul language, they will argue and speak bad words even to superiors. So these are some indications from past life. On the other hand, you'll have people who are very soft, very wonderful, very pleasing personality. They will articulate very wonderfully. They will use proper words. They will respect the other person. They will speak in a way that is sensitive, emotion-wise. They will not just blabber whatever they want. Right? So a fool is recognized by these characteristics. One, extreme pride, garva. Second, durvachanam, bad language. Third, krodha, always fuming. There's a saying that a matchstick is considered to be less intelligent because it has its head always on fire. If you see a matchstick, its head is always burning on fire. So it's considered to be less intelligent. So if we are like a matchstick with our head always on fire with anger, it's not considered to be very intelligent. So third is anger. Fourth, obstinate or stubborn, which means if somebody tries to convey something to us, we will say, I know. You don't have to tell me, I know that. Or if they try to say, Prabhu, I think you should give that person a chance. They will hear, but they will still do what they want. Very strong-headed. So this is called Dridavada. And fifth, Paravakyeshu Anadara. When someone else has an opinion, they will not even hear it out. When they're talking, have you seen? Sometimes when somebody is talking, our tendency to look at our phone and they will just keep look, yes, 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 correct. And then we'll look down at the phone. They're speaking and then we're still, it's like outright disrespect. I really don't care what you're saying. That kind of mentality. So this is also not very good. A Vaishnava is open to feedback. Vaishnava is open to ideas. Yes, does what is best Krishna conscious wise, but never disrespects anybody. So paravakyeshu anadara, having disrespect towards the words of others is demoniac. So first, pride. Second, bad language. Third, angry mindset. Fourth, dridavada, obstinate or arrogant or stubborn to one's opinion. Fifth, disrespecting the opinions of others, disrespecting others, not treating others well. And sixth, upadesho hi murkhanam prakopayana shantaya. When they are advised, when they're given advice, they will fume up like the hoods of a serpent. And the example given is when you feed milk to a snake, the milk does good to the snake, but ends up increasing its poison. Haribol. So the snake drinks the milk and increases its poison. So this is a wicked person. When good advice is given, like Prahlad Maharaj is giving very good advice to Hiranyakashipu here. And you will see Hiranyakashipu goes through all of these 6 characteristics. When he is corrected or advised by Prahlad, he becomes angry. By nature, he is very angry. Garva, he has high-chinned opinion about himself. And he will speak bad language. You can see in the 2nd chapter. He's threatening his men. He's saying, burn the homes, cut down trees, kill the cows. And very obstinate. Doesn't paravakeshu anadara. He doesn't care about what others think. Even when Kayadu Devi is trying in the future, you'll see in the next few chapters, she tries to protect Prahlad, tries to give advice to Hiranyakashipu. He will not budge an inch. So all these characteristics of a fool, Hiranyakashipu is displaying in these verses, in these pages, to teach us how not to be. Teaching us how not to be. Actually, in the Bhagavatam, there is a very beautiful example. That in a river, when the current is high, sometimes you see mighty elephants get in and they get swept away. But on the other hand, small fishes which are swimming in that same ocean or that same river, they don't get killed. Fishes may be so small and they're moving in the current of the river and they don't die. But elephants, although they're very big and huge and powerful, they stand in the river, they're swept. What is the purport? What is the lesson? If we can become like those fishes, humble, meek, and taking shelter of the water called as Krishna, then we are safe. But if we try to be demoniac and we are like big elephants, even if we are big elephants, we will be swept away by the current of time factor. So Prahlad Maharaj in this pastime is like the fish, and Hiranyakashipu is like the mighty elephant. Prahlad is very humble. Hiranyakashipu is very proud of his strength and his ability. And he is trying to go against the tides of time. But Narasimhadev rips him to pieces in the 9th chapter, in the 8th chapter. And you can see, so that's like the river current, which is sweeping the elephant of Hiranyakashipu away. Why? Because he's proud, standing tall, and not taking shelter of the river. Not taking shelter of Krishna. But Prahlad, on the other hand, like a little humble, devotionally surrendered fish, is swimming so sweetly through all problems and nothing happens to him. So at this point, Hiranyakashipu says we have to keep Prahlad away from bad association. Now, next verse. सम्यक विधार्यताम बालो गुरुगेहे द्विजातिभिः विष्णु पक्षै प्रतिच्छन्नैर् न विद्येतास्य धीयथा. Hiranyakashipu advised his assistants, "My dear demons, give complete protection to this boy at the Gurukul where he is instructed, so that his intelligence will not be further influenced by Vaishnavas who may go there in disguise." Prabhupada's purport is very beautiful, so I'll end today's discussion by reading this purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, "In our Krishna consciousness movement, the tactic of dressing oneself like an ordinary karmi is necessary because everyone in the demoniac kingdom is against the Vaishnava teachings. Krishna consciousness is not at all to the liking of the demons at the present age. As soon as they see a Vaishnava dressed in saffron garments with beads on his neck and tilak on his forehead, they are immediately irritated. They criticize the Vaishnavas by sarcastically saying Hare Krishna, and some people also chant Hare Krishna sincerely. In either case, since Hare Krishna is absolute, whether one chants it jokingly or sincerely, it will have its effect. The Vaishnavas are pleased when the demons chant Hare Krishna because this shows that the Hare Krishna movement is taking ground. The greater demons like Hiranyakashipu are always prepared to chastise the Vaishnavas, and they try to make arrangements so that the Vaishnavas will not come to sell their books and preach Krishna consciousness." Srila Prabhupada is actually giving this story of the Bhagavatam an ISKCON twist with the preaching in the 60s and the 70s. Because there, when Srila Prabhupada and his followers and his disciples are preaching and doing book distribution, there was so much protest. Some places devotees were jailed. Some places they were attacked, even hit. There was a pushback. So Prabhupada is linking that to this, saying that when Prahlad is trying to preach, Hiranyakashipu is trying to curtail, and this happens all the time. So look how Prabhupada writes. Now look at this. The greater demons like Hiranyakashipu are always prepared to chastise the Vaishnavas, and they try to make arrangements so that the Vaishnavas will not come to sell their books and preach Krishna consciousness. Hiranyakashipu actually did not have any experience with Prahlad doing book distribution there. But Prabhupada is directly hinting to the opposition received in Kali Yuga to the active worldwide preaching mission. So this is wonderful. Thus, what was done by Hiranyakashipu long, long ago is still being done. That is the way of materialistic life. Demons or materialists do not at all like the advancement of Krishna consciousness, and they try to hinder it in many ways. Yet the preachers, look at this, yet the preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement must go forward in their Vaishnav dress or any other dress for the purpose of preaching. Chanakya Pandit says that if an honest person deals with a great cheater, it is necessary for him to become a cheater also, not for the purpose of cheating, but to make his preaching successful. So you can see the lessons that we learn from this section of 3 verses that we read. 1, from the first verse we learned, we should take shelter of Krishna. Whether you compare this material world to an ocean or a tree or a well, Krishna is the boat in the ocean. Krishna is the person protecting the person falling from the tree. And Krishna is the one throwing in the rope of bhakti from outside the well. I hope that point has been considered. So Krishna is our shelter in all circumstances. Now in the next 2 verses, Hiranyakashipu is unhappy that Prahlad is speaking like this. And he's trying to tell Chanda and Amarka and the teachers in the Gurukul that I think somebody is infiltrating. Some Vaishnava is wearing normal garbs and coming in as a Daitya, as a demon, and polluting the mind of Prahlad. So Prabhupada is putting this in the other way, that just like Hiranyakashipu is thinking that Vaishnavas are preaching incognito, Prabhupada says that's how we should be, to mix into this world. The Hiranyakashipus of this world should be continuously on the edge of their seat, thinking where the Vaishnavas in civil clothes have come in to preach. That is what Prabhupada is hinting from there. Because if you go in dhoti, kurta, and tilak and kanti, this is wonderful. Some places they accept. and some places they may not respect at all. So therefore, you can see in some places like universities, some places like corporate companies, you may have to go in shirt and pant and coat and suit and tie and make your presentation. Because that is when they will respect. If someone just goes in dhoti and kurta and let's say has not, although maybe an exalted Vaishnav, but doesn't have material academics, in the corporate world, they don't have much they don't give much regard to somebody's spiritual advancement. We, of course, will bow down, but they will only give respect when there is a PhD or there is a highly educated person, highly accomplished person. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he told Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was doing his PhD in physical organic chemistry from Irvine University, California. And when he met Srila Prabhupada, he was doing his PhD and he told Srila Prabhupada, I have understood that Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of everything. So can I just give up my PhD and join you? Srila Prabhupada said, no, I want you to complete your PhD. And then he would advise Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj to preach to the scientists. To preach to the scientists. In fact, after Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj joined Srila Prabhupada, the morning walks changed. Till then, the morning walks had a different mood. The morning walks had the mood that we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, and we should take shelter of Krishna. But after Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj started joining in, then Prabhupada started speaking about how life comes from life. Life doesn't come from matter. How, whether you could go onto the moon, how the scientists are giving a post-dated check. Srila Prabhupada would say, they are saying that we have evolved from the Darwin, according to the Darwinian theory, we have evolved from apes. And they would talk about the creation of this world. They would talk about the Big Bang. They will talk about molecular biology and how cells and life existed in this world. And those others in the morning walk, they started giving their memories that slowly the number of people going with Srila Prabhupada on the morning walk reduced. Because we wouldn't understand what's happening because only Prabhupada and Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj would speak and it was completely scientific. So they would wait at the temple and they would ask the devotees once they return, is there anything I can understand that you can tell me what Srila Prabhupada spoke in the morning walk? So the point I'm trying to say is Srila Prabhupada highly encouraged Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj to preach to the scientists, to the intelligentsia, to the educated class. And for that, having conferences, for that, having coat, suit, tie, for that, you have to speak in a scientific way because only then they will accept. And with that, Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj preached so much. He befriended so many scientists with not just with his intellectual PhD approach, scientific approach, but also with a very humble, spiritual, loving, caring, well-wishing, friendly heart. He melted everyone's heart with that preaching. So those scientists who may or may not have accepted preachers with dhoti, kurta and tilak and kantimala, they all had to accept because of their conversations and dialogues with Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj that God exists and he is a person. And all of those conversations were transcribed and now so many wonderful books are there which talk about the talks and the dialogues that Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj had. And Prabhupada was extremely impressed. One time, when the great scientist Stanley Miller, he was giving a presentation about life, Sripad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj put his hand up and he said, if I can give you all of the things that we have in our body, I can give all of that to you in your laboratory. Can you promise today you can create life? Let's say if you have calcium, magnesium, and all of these different sodium and all of these different ingredients we need in our body, if I give you all of that in that same quantity, will you be able to promise us that you can create life in a laboratory? And Stanley Miller said, that we shall see. And when Srila Prabhupada heard this, he said, look, my Swarup Damodar has broken the teeth of the atheistic scientists by asking this question. So it was quite interesting. So that's the same point Srila Prabhupada is making in the purport. In line with Hiranyakashipu, his fear is Vaishnavas have infiltrated in disguise. And that was the point Srila Prabhupada is making in the purport. So we'll pause here. We finished 3 verses today and we'll continue on Tuesday, Krishna willing.